So 25 years of repairing guitars, and then just decided to do pickups. Were pickups something you were doing prior to going exclusively to pickups, or?
Yeah, look, I learned to repair guitars in a college in the UK. So that was kind of 95, 96. I was there for 2 years. It was connected to a university in Leeds in the north of England, and it wasn't part of the course winding pickups, but there was a winding machine in the cupboard, and Ted, who taught me my trade, I asked him one. I said, what's that about? Can you show me how to use it? So this would have been about 1996. He just showed me very quickly and said, yeah, it's done kind of like this, and PAFs are done kind of like that, and that was it. And I went off and made a machine and got a load of box and wire and made it up, really, because there was no information then. This was before the internet was any good to man or beast. And so, yeah, just made it up and wrote meticulous notes on everything I did, So I wound, this many turns, this way of winding and all that stuff. And I still got the notebook.
Yeah,
and
right.
so look, great stuff to refer back to, because whenever I have the idea, oh, maybe I could do one like this, and I can look back and go, oh no, wait a minute, yeah, I did that. Yeah, that didn't work. So it's really good having that. So yeah, I've been making pickups and mainly repairing pickups since then. And of course, when you repair stuff, you end up studying it.
Yes.
So, there's a lot of 70 Strat pickups you end up repairing because they break. And so you get in there and you find out what's going on, and like all PA. And of course, it's funny how it's changed, because in like the mid to late 90s, a 70s Strat pickup was considered something, it doesn't work, you throw it away.
That's right, yeah.
It wasn't super vintage. Like 60s were kind of considered okay.
Yep.
But they weren't worth any more than the new one.
Now, Matt of Lee Guitars he's jumped on board. He's just asking and this is good because it actually gets us back to talking about pickups, which is what we're here to do. He's asking what's the general PAF formula, or is it a bit like chasing dragons?
Yeah, you've got to start with what actually is a PAF, because they vary so much even within. I think that's why every manufacturer does a PAF, and they're all slightly different, because PAFs are all different. So which one are you going to pick? I'm not into the vintage correct stuff. I don't really mind if the space is made of maple or plastic or what. All the coil geometry and the magnets and all that stuff's important. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you the exact number of wines I use, but yeah, Alnico 2. I think that gives you that slightly lower powered, more open sound. It's not as gritty and aggressive as a 5. I have used Alnico 4s. I just prefer the openness of a 2 on the PAFs, especially in the neck.
Yeah, okay. And so what kind of resistance are you kind of chasing when you're making a pickup? Like with your PAF, are you looking for something that's quite a high gain, or are you looking for really open?
No, and what I do, there are only 2 pickups I do this with. I offer you can have underwound 5%, overwound 5%, or overwound 10%, because it's a really forgiving thing as a PAF. And with a vintage Strat, you can kind of go either side and you still get a really good pickup. Whereas some of the more rock ones, you really hit a sweet spot, and either side of that, it's just not quite as good. So yeah, so the PAF is, it's a forgiving pickup. It just depends what you want. I mean, mine aren't hot. I mean, that's kind of not the point of them. So the neck is sort of 7.4, 7.6, which is the kind of general part that everyone aims at. If you go more than that, you just start getting a bit of too much boom coming up under them.
Yeah.
Under that, it's nice and sweet and clear, especially if you're going into something like an arch top that's got a lot of oomph under it anyway. But then again, a lot of arch top players like a bit of fullness, depending on what they're doing. So yeah, and the bridge I do slightly hotter, which they didn't do in the old days.
No, which I suppose is probably why some of those middle sounds could sound a little bit offset if they didn't kind of if the resistance was just out by a little bit, things could sound quite unbalanced in the middle position.
Yeah,
but
and then it depends on. Then you sort of think about balance. I mean, I worked on a 1963 ES335 not so long ago, and the original pickups, the neck pickup was about 7.2, and the other way around. The bridge pickup was about 7.2, and the neck pickup was about 7.8, right. Which is, you would think, the wrong way around. I mean, they were aiming for them to be the same as each other. But it's great. And I think with balance, you've got to, I sort of wonder, is balance what you need? Like, well, what situation are you in?
Oh, true.
If you're in a situation where you've got a drummer and all those cymbals happening, you can quite often go to your neck pickup and you vanish. So you might need extra in the neck, which is counter to what we're told, but it just depends on the situation, I think.
You think of guys like Pete Green. Greenie goes to that middle tone where everything's just kind of out of phase and sounds a bit kind of weird and thins out. It just has this kind of piece of magic to it that's different. Yeah, I guess that's kind of it. It's down to what the individual is seeking when they're playing.
Exactly. And really, with guitars, is there a bad sound? I mean, you can have the shittiest, thinnest, most horrible little sound, but there can be a song where you just want to go chingy ching, and that's the perfect sound. And that can make a track. I
hope that we can, when I edit this video, I'm just going to take that bit of you going ching ching and just loop that.
Thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome. To a 30-minute MrGlyn chingy ching video.
Yeah, and then put it in a mix and see how good it sounds.
Oh, the remix would be great.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's really hard to be judgmental. It's easy to be judgmental about sounds, but it's not. I don't know. Every sound has a place. Having said that, I'm in the business of selling pickups, so I don't really want to make a pickup that just goes jiggy jig, because then. Yeah.
And so, speaking of selling pickups, and how have you found the transition now that you're focused on the one thing?
Yeah, it took a while. I've learned so much in the last 18 months about social media and websites and YouTube. And one really interesting thing that I think probably about this time last year, I was having a chat with a couple of guitar makers over here, Hammerani guitars and Archetype guitars, and we were talking about how the public tend to want to buy an American instrument or whatever. Why is a Kiwi-made piece of kit not on the radar? And we couldn't sort of figure out a way. Anyway, from that, I sort of thought, well, maybe the public don't know who we are, because we tend to be fairly solitary beasts, dwelling in dusty little places. And so I thought, well, how can we create more community, which is kind of what you're doing. And so I started a YouTube channel called MrGlyn Meets Your Maker, where I'd have a chat like this with guitar makers or pedal makers or people like that. And I've made a lot of mates out of it, which has been good.
That's awesome.
It's been really interesting and just so people can find us in a different way. Because no one's going to say, right, I'm going to make a video today and I'm going to spend 20 minutes talking to a camera saying what I do. You just don't do it. But if you're having a chat with somebody, then all that kind of comes out. So I've been really into trying to make a community, and yeah, there's some great gear. I mean, I tell you what, I don't know about you, it's terrible for your gas.
And that does remind me, you've got some pretty awesome videos that have been made featuring a character that I assume is MrGlyn. Like
the robot.
The robot kind of guy? Has he got a name?
You know, originally he was called Henry, and was going to have a daughter called Millie Henry, which is a pickup winder joke, really, and most people didn't understand. So I decided. So he's called Robo Guy,
right?
Or Mr. K Ohm was another one.
Mr. Kenny.
But yeah, he's kind of the mascot
and
bloke, but just made with parts of guitars.
And the videos you make, I don't. Are they? Do you edit those? And make
those?
Mate, they're bloody brilliant. For anyone who hasn't seen them, go over to the channel later on and have a look at MrGlyn's videos, because they're bloody rippers.
So, and just made him like a cardboard world and this all stop motion. Yeah.
Well, it's just clever because it just. I mean, you're getting your point across of your product and with your audio clips and so forth, but giving the viewer something a bit different to engage in, which is entertaining. It's like watching a Tool video clip. Matt of Lee Guitars was asking, have you made any kind of like Rickenbacker style, so what, toaster style kind of pickups?
Yeah, not yet. It's funny because I've made like a core of pickups, like the sort of ones that covering the main food bases, really. And now I'm kind of going off. There's so many different pickups, you know, so I need to do that. And I'm a bit wary of making, like Seymour Duncan have 1,200 pickups in their range, you know? So
I didn't realize it was that much.
So how are you going to choose which one you want? And then when you've chosen it, it's never going to be in stock. So I try and keep it as simple as possible. Like with the PAF thing, I'll underwind them by 5 or overwind them. Now, I know a lot of manufacturers would go, oh, cool, we've got 4 models there, you know, but I try and keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
I haven't got any plans for doing a Ricki. The next new one's going to be is a Filtertron.
Yep.
Which is, I'm just waiting for the engraving to be done on the covers.
Right.
Will be ready. That's going to be called the Tron.
Yep.
Which is funny if you're a Kiwi, but
yeah,
everyone else will get that.
Bit of Hamilton.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, not a Ricki as yet.
Right. So is the Tron pickup going to be a bit of a heavy metal pickup?
No.
Just, you know, in pure honour to the Tron for it being the heavy metal capital of Wellington, of New Zealand, as I remember it.
No. It's. I started playing guitar because I heard Malcolm Young.
Oh yes.
So if you think of like the first 4 seconds of Jailbreak,
yep,
that sound, and that's what stopped me in my tracks and made me play guitar.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the. Oh, I've got some here actually. We've got a blue cover. Is that the right way?
Yep.
Where are we? So it's one with a blue cover.
Oh, that's got pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got the engraving on, but I'm waiting for the rest of them to arrive.
That's cool. That is.
With that on, yeah, they're not all blue. Most of them are black.
Yep.
Like that one.
Yep.
You see, still got the wires hanging out. These are very much not quite ready. So that's the next one.
So how many pickups have you got in your range then?
Oh, there's only about 10, 11, 12, something like that.
Yeah.
So like there's 2 Strats and 2 Tellys. Humbuckers, there are 4 humbucker sets. Then there's the Filtertron. There's a P90 set. There's a humbucker size P90.
Nice.
Yeah, and there's some bass ones that I keep almost getting them up on the internet, but I haven't quite got that.
Not quite happy with them yet, or just
No, I am happy with them. I'm just it's just, you know, days aren't long enough to get everything done.
Yeah. Now I see RM Guitar. He's asked a very good question here, because I know that there's a lot of people, including myself, that are pretty big fans of wide range humbuckers. And so he's wondering, do you think it's possible to make a wide range pickup within a standard size humbucker footprint without it sounding different from the original?
No, it will sound different. It's it's a bit odd. It's a wide range. They've got big coils, and they need to be big coils. They need to be wide. If you could kind of compress them and make them higher, but you completely, if you change that coil geometry, you change the pickup completely.
Yeah.
So no, they will sound different. If you put them in a standard humbucker size, you're getting closer to what a humbucker is like, a normal humbucker.
Yeah. I can attest to that from having owned 70s Gricos, like that were thin, like the thin line looking tally, and they tried to make it to look like a wide range humbucker, but it was still a standard humbucker size, you know, not far off.
Yeah.
And yeah, it didn't sound anything like a wide range. Yeah.
And yeah, and a lot of them that you'd have in, you know, you kind of Mexican vendors, modern ones they may look like wide ranges, but they're really not that same thing. I did a blog. What I do when I get an interesting pickup repair in is I take loads of photos and I write a blog on it. And I did one a little bit ago on the wide range. It's just taking it all apart and showing you what's inside and why this is like this and what they were thinking. I mean, it was Seth Lover again, doing it again in a slightly different way.
Yep. So you've got a blog on that. That's still
through my website. There's a blog that I don't update it all the time, but yeah, if I have an interest, you know, it's good just to be able to show people what's inside. And I'm surprised many people are interested actually in the minutiae of the insides of pickups. You know, and I think that's happening, especially in the pickup world, is people are starting to really get the low powered thing. You know, the low powered track pickup, the low powered humbucker. They really get that clarity, their understanding. Because the thing with clarity is, why not have clarity? Because you can take it away easily. But that's what phone control does. But you can't add it. You can't go, just add a bit of clarity to this sound. You know.
Well, it used to be how when I was selling guitars, you know, I'd always say to people, look, you can buy a distortion pedal, you can't buy a clean pedal. You know, so guys who were kind of coming in and buying, you know, Seymour Duncan Invaders and all that kind of stuff. And fair enough, like back in those days, everyone was trying to sound like Dimebag of Pantera or something like that. And they wanted that massive gain. But then I was like, well, you can still only do so much with that when you want to go the other direction.
But you can have quite a bit of clarity with a powerful pickup too. I mean, that's like, if you don't, you end up with a situation where, you know, you play a chord and it sounds like a tractor, you know, like a John Deere at full throttle, rather than hearing separate strings.
That's mostly how I play.
Right. But no, there's no reason why not, especially back the volume off the tag or what have you. But I'm really try and keep that clarity with everything, with it, you know, with the powerful ones, and you need that, especially if you've got heaps of gain, you know, and you've got a drummer with a double kick or something awful like that, all that noise going on. If you've got no clarity, you know, so if you're using EMGs through a fizzy amp, then I mean, I don't know how those people cope, because you don't hear anything.
Well, I was going to say, you see them trying to find their place in the mix, and it just disappears.
Interesting. You said they're on Filtertron 4.9K, but really, when you talk to pickup people like me, the K ohms, it's just a very small part of the story.
Yeah, okay.
You really can't judge the power of a pickup by the ohm rating. That's not. It's exactly like I'm driving along in my car. I'm doing 2,000 revs, therefore I'm driving at 80 k's. Well, yeah, but
no.
I don't. What gear are you in?
Yes.
You know, like what gauge of wire have we wound with here?
Yeah.
And have you wound a tall coil or a wide coil? And what's what magnet, and what's like in the original Filtertron and in my Filtertrons, the bar magnet underneath is literally twice the size of a PAF one. Right. And it's Alnico 5, not Alnico 2. So it's a more powerful, and it's twice the size.
Yeah.
So you've got really low coil strength, but you've got an awful lot of magnetic pull going on under that. So that changes things, you know. And then you've got the whole idea of the whole magnetic geometry. So with a Strat, you've got the simple, which do you call it, apple core shape.
Yep.
But you can change that. You put a metal plate under it, a steel plate, and it pushes it up the sides, and you widen that window of string that it hears. So you get less ping from it, which I use in my slightly more powerful Strat pickups. They all have a steel base plate, just it adds a bit of oomph on the bottom end and takes a bit of that aggressive ping off the top end. So, you know, you look at the K ohms and you go, oh yeah, okay, that's part of that. And then there's how you wind it. You know, if you wind really tight, the tight, neat turns, it'll sound really muffled. You know, which is these days called scatter winding, but it's avoiding a thing called leakage capacitance. So, I mean, you know, I'm going on a bit of a rant here, but
no, that's good because there are people who understand that, and that's what they want to hear, and that's what I'm hoping they get to hear. You know,
and there's insulation, wire insulation. You know, if you're using plain enamel or heavy form wire, it's different thickness. I mean, it's so teeny the difference, but you're multiplying it by 8,000.
Yep.
Because burns you're putting on. So
you just gave up how many windings you do.
That's a standard of an old Strat, actually.
So I've seen Matt at Lee Guitars. He's asked, is wax potting pretty much a standard across all pickup makers?
Yeah, yes, it is. I mean, throughout the 70s, Fender lacquer dipped their pickups, which is one of the reasons why there's all the problems with 70s Fender pickups. Because the lacquer would crystallize and it breaks stuff down and short. Wax potting is pretty standard. There are some people that make like low power, like PAFs and non-waxed,
unpotted.
And I kind of change how I wax things depending on what the pickup is. So the Attitude humbucker I do, which is a powerful modern metal pickup, that gets vacuum waxed because of the situation it's going to be in. Whereas my lower powered PAF type, I wax it a little teeny bit. There's a little bit of microphonics. It's pleasant. If you've ever tried to do a gig with a truly microphonic pickup, it's
been there, done that.
Yeah.
So you've got you're saying you got about 10 pickups in your range. So you're covering off. There was a P90 and kind of a humbucker vibe. What about a normal P90? Have you got a normal P90 in your range?
Yeah. Yep. Called the Sassy. It's the P90 set. And there's another one that's going to happen soon, which is going to be called the Sassy Cool, which is a slightly backed off version. Got all that as much about. I'm thinking more of your kind of casino, Epiphone casino type players rather than
the dog ear vibe.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Yeah. Is it a dog ear pickup or is it still just the traditional?
Oh, either way. The guts of them are the same, really. The base plate and the cover are different if it's dog ear, but the actual stuff, you know, the coil and the magnets are the same, you know. And that's another interesting pickup, the P90, because in some ways it's the same as, if it wasn't for the magnets, you'd say it would be the same as a Jazzmaster. You know, it's got that flat wide coil. So a lot of the windings are nowhere near the magnet in the middle, which gives you a smoother, less of that, less stratty, you know, less of that percussive thing. It smooths it out. The further away they are, the less of the aggressive attack they have. But then a P90's got 2 bar magnets under it. So it's basically 2 PAF magnets sitting underneath it. So you've got, and the way they're sitting there, it gives you quite a broad magnetic field. So you've got a very wide portion of string you're listening to. So P90's got quite a different vibe to a lot of pickups.
Oh yeah. I've always been a sucker for a P90 guitar.
Yeah. I'm only more recently getting into them.
Yeah, they're not for everybody. You know,
but even with RWRP on a Strat, that's a compromise as well. I mean, my thinking is with the reverse Plowview, reverse wound middle pickup thing, is why do you want two of the settings quiet? Why don't just shield the whole thing?
Mm.
And what you miss with that, with the middle pickup being the reverse polarity, is it changes the way the mid range is, especially on those in between sounds.
Mm.
So if you want the full Knopfler, you don't, not RWRP.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I will do it for people. A standard, my pickups are not like that.
Yeah,
I'm happy.
Okay.
I'm happy to reverse wind if somebody wants it, but it does compromise the sound a little bit.
Mm.
You know, and because what's happening is that magnet and the string, the magnet magnetizes the string. That's how it works. It makes it into a temporary magnet, and then that temporary magnet's wobbling about, and then it causes electricity in the coil. So if you've got three of them, and two are one polarity and one's the other polarity, there is a slight overlap in the middle where they do affect each other slightly, and it does change that mid range, like I said. So yeah, I choose not to do that as standard. But like you say, if somebody wants it, just ask me, and I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, yeah. What's your take on things like? I'm a big fan of single pickup guitars.
Yeah.
Because I find there's just something different in the way that they resonate or sound to me. And I heard it mentioned, and it kind of made me wonder, even when another pickup, like a neck pickup or a middle pickup, isn't engaged tonally through the electrics, that it still affects everything simply because it still adds a magnetic pull one way or another. Is that bullshit or possible?
Bit of both.
Mythbusters.
It depends how close that is to the string.
Yeah.
How much it's going to pull. Like an Alnico 5 magnet in a Strat has a reasonable amount of pull on the string, but like humbuckers have less because you've got one north and one south, so there's a kind of certain amount of opposing. I know it looks bigger, but it's not pulling the string as much. So you get that stratitis thing, which I'm sure you've come across working on guitars. Get the pickup too close, your bass strings playing high up, they've got that funny wobbly wolf tone thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to intonate. It's kind of, it's, so yes, it does have an influence, but you can back them away a little bit, and it changes that. I don't know if you really notice the difference with a single pickup or having a neck pickup as well.
I think it just says, where do you get your components, Glyn?
Hey, Trevor. All over the place.
Yeah.
Most of the magnets I'm currently getting made for me in China. My winding wire comes from the US. Most stuff, a lot of stuff is coming from the US at the moment. Well, in fact, a lot of stuff is waiting in the US on its way over here. Yeah. Because shipping is suddenly gone bad. So
being commented on weekly.
I know. But there's stuff I'm getting made in New Zealand. The base plates for my 2E Strat pickups are made here. Oh, cool. I'm just getting some, but the Telecaster bridge base plates made here. So there's stuff I'm wanting to do as much here. I mean, you can't get everything in New Zealand anyway, you know. So, but I'm trying to get some things made here. The flat work is currently in the US, but I'm hoping ultimately to get that made here. You know. Well, it's, you know, I just ordered 100 Telecaster bridge pickup steel base plates, so they're being made here. They're being laser cut.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and then they're going to be they'll get zinc electroplated. But it doesn't actually, because there's 100 of them, it's not actually working out more expensive at all.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But if I was just buying 5, then it's not going to work, you know.
No, true.
And then, once you've got those that set up, so once all the CAD drawings are done and stuff from the laser cutting place, then to get another 100 done, it's going to be relatively painless. And it's the same with the base plates for those Strats. You know, I get in batches of 100. And it's not so hard really. At some point I'll get a laser cutter and CNC here. It's right now it would just be a toy.
And we all love toys.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I get a place doing laser cutting for me for certain things, and they're really good. And I don't have to learn how to use the machine. And
no, that's right. It's just easy done. Sometimes you're just better off paying somebody to do what they do well.
Yeah, I know. I was looking the other day. I was trying to find an excuse to buy one of those things the other day when I was getting the engraving on the Filtertrons done, and it just turned out I needed a really super machine to do it. And and a place in Hamilton who engrave trophies.
Yep,
they've got like a diamond engraving, and it's just beautiful. And
yeah, nice. That's great.
And the guy who owns the business plays guitar, so he gets it.
Bonus.
Yeah, it's always like that.
Yeah, absolutely. FJ Guitars has asked if you've got any bass pickups in your range.
Well, I said earlier, yes, but they're not on the website yet. So there's a jazz set and a precision split pair, very much in the kind of early 60s Fender sort of, lower powered ones. But yeah, they're not on the site yet, and there isn't really any proper demo yet. It's sort of happening, but I keep getting distracted with other pickup related things. So and it's funny because bass players tend not to be dissatisfied as much as guitar players, as much as six-string. So they tend not to want.
You can usually tell that by the quality of the person they go home with at the end of the night.
They've got this, bass players have this bonkers idea in their head that if it doesn't sound good, it must be their playing, and that buying lots of gear won't fix it.
No.
Crazy. I told you guitar shops earlier. I used to have a guitar shop in the UK, and a guy walked in once, right? And he looked at all the pedals under the counter, and he said to me, "I need a new pedal because I can't be bothered to fix my playing." Oh, isn't that honesty painful?
But that's probably what most of us have kind of encountered without admitting it.
I know. He definitely, he understood himself, didn't he?
Yeah. I can't think of the amount of times I've kind of thought another pedal will make me better. Yeah.
Anyway, what I find is that bass players tend to. So unfortunately, sorry, bass players, but you're a little lower down my priority list. But the design's done. I mean, email me, get in touch with me. They're just not on the site. You can't shopping cart site it, but you can definitely get them from me. And funny thing with demos, I mean, demos are kind of all you can do to tell people what they're like. It's hard buying a pickup. It's there's the demo, so you hear what somebody else sounds like through somebody else's gear. I think the description's probably the best thing to go for. But then the one thing you can never do is the feel.
No, that's quite right.
The feel of a pickup. It's the way the attack can be different, and the whole feel of it, and it makes you play differently. Yeah. So, if you swap out different pickups in the same guitar, it's the feel is different. You can never quite convey that.
Is there something you haven't made yet that you'd really like to make?
It was when I was this Filtertron that isn't quite for sale yet. When I was making that, I was going, of course, why didn't I start here? Right. It's like Malcolm Young started me playing guitar. It was that sound. And it was like, why didn't I start with a Filtertron? So no, I mean, I'm gonna, from now on, it's gonna be just increasing the range. So there will be a Jazz Master and a Jaguar, and there will be, there's kind of a mini humbucker. I've made a few, but they're not on the site yet. So it's going to be expand, but it takes a long time. Yeah. I don't just wind a pickup and go, sweet.
There it is. Yeah.
Like the telly pickup, some of the Cruel Mistress set, which I've probably sold more of those to Australia than any other. That neck pickup took a long time, and I made quite a lot of them. And I nearly always have a test pilot, so like a professional player who specialises in that sort of guitar.
Yeah. That'll
use their gear and live and studio, and so it was. You know Grant Wills, don't you?
Oh yes,
yes. Everyone in Auckland does.
Yeah,
so Grant
yeah.
Heaps with that one, and that was a case of backing it off to tame the bass on that neck pickup of it, and yeah. So he helped me. So just about all the pickups I've had. Bands take them on tour, that sort of thing. Before I sell them to anyone, they go out. That's really cool. Really good seeing to.
So how many pickups would you normally make to kind of reach the goal? Is it sometimes you just happen to strike it lucky within a few, or is it you find you kind of a dozen or so in before you kind of narrow it down to what you're looking for?
Yeah, it gets quicker because. Obviously, I've been doing this for 20-something years, but you get better at, intuition gets better.
Yeah.
But the Strat ones, I would say, I think probably the Tui took the longest, which is the slightly more powerful Strat one with a bass plate. That there was a lot of, and I suppose that's something I started off wanting to make 20 odd years ago, and it's tweaked and tweaked and tweaked and tweaked and tweaked. So yeah, so it takes a while. So to bringing out a new pickup is, it's quite complicated. So I make it quite complicated.
Yeah.
I could just stick some wire around it and go, there you go, but it's not the way I work.
Well, it's because you care.
Yeah, I mean, I really, I want them to be, they need to be really, really good.
Yeah, when something's kind of like your sole purpose, you don't do it just for. It's not like pumping petrol where you're just going, well, I paid the bills. It goes above and beyond that. It's your creative side. It's your quest, so to speak.
And the satisfaction you get from hearing a recording or going to a gig and know it's your pickup in someone's guitar.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it's not that I've really done anything. This person's out here doing the playing and doing all the real stuff. But just being a part of it.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool.
Especially recording, especially albums, when you're on you ever record it and that bit, a little bit of it there. Oh, that's my bit, that is.
Yeah, well, it just means that somebody cared enough to go above and beyond the norm to seek out something a little bit further and special about their tone that was created by something you created.
Yeah, yeah, and you have a relationship with the customers too. You do. It's not like. I mean, it's a shopping cart website, but it's not like I never communicate with people. I always
of course, have
a chat. Yeah, what guitars are going in? Because I'm kind of interested, really. I'd like to know what's going in, and especially with the guys who are building guitars. Yeah, it's really cool. That is,
and it must be an amazing thing for you to be able to go. Well, look, I've made X amount of pickups that are technically wound, the same magnets or with the same wires, same this and that. But then to be able to hear them in multitudes of different guitars and in the multitudes of different hands, and to hear, 10, 20, 30, however many people have that one pickup, make it sound completely different in 30 different ways,
It's that Tui pickup, there's the clips I've got on the website, there's one was used in an advert for the New Zealand police, but he's a really cool guy, and it's him playing, and he's just great in that kind of Stevie Ray Vaughan style, and that's what I designed the pickup for. Brilliant. And then on the same thing, there's a guy who called Jonathan Ho, and he's using exactly the same pickup in a Strat copy, and he's doing Eruption, and he nails Eruption. And I was like, what are you doing? That's not what it's for.
Yeah.
Great. Good on him, man.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah.
And I can imagine what Leo Fender thought of watching Jimi Hendrix. Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah, hang on a minute. You know, I just wanted some country guys to be okay, you know, but yeah.
Nice, really nice to talk to you properly.
Yeah, you too, mate.
Really,
and I tell you what, we couldn't have coordinated our fashion better if we tried.
No, I mean, it's perfect. Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a boy band and we're just missing 3 more members in purple hoodies.